Now, in today's dynamic workplace, leaders are not only required to think strategically, plan effectively, and execute efficiently, they must also connect, understand, inspire, regulate, and influence with emotional clarity. Performance may open doors, but emotional intelligence determines how long those doors remain open. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to welcome a global leader, advisor, an international keynote speaker, and a professional who has inspired thousands of leaders with his wisdom, clarity, and practical methodology. A respected voice in the field of leadership, psychology, and emotional mastery. A globally experienced executive with over two decades of experience in leadership, working with some of the world's largest brands across multiple sectors in North America, South America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. Please join me in giving a warm, highly respected welcome to the principal of Lawson Leadership Advisory, Mr. Hugh Lawson.
All right, thank you.
With his clap, please.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. All right. Here to talk to you about mastering the 4 quadrants of emotional intelligence. But I'm going to weave them into some African proverbs. African proverbs is something that I've stumbled on in this last chapter of my professional career. It guides me in everything I do. There's an African proverb for every life lesson. This one resonates with me because it pretty much sums up how I feel when I'm here. Home is not where you live, but where you belong. I've had many homes, corporate setting. Had a good run, 2+ decades working within 4 big brands. Managed to find great homes there. But things happen in your life. And in 2018, after the subsequent peaceful passing of my father, I stumbled on the Japanese philosophy of ikigai, which essentially is the center of finding what you're good at, what you can earn a living doing, what you love, and what the world needs. So I decided to focus less on trying to turn the corporate world on its ear and trying to make impact, because in being at my father's funeral and him being a very quiet, stoic, unassuming, but very purposeful man, a lot of people approached me and told me about the effects that he's had on their lives over the years, which really left an impression on my brother and I. So as a result of pursuing my ikigai, I left the corporate world, and in this entrepreneurial chapter, I focus on working with purpose-driven leaders and social impact organizations and helping them with their organizational growth, but then also focusing on emotional intelligence, which takes me to where I am today. This is one of my new homes. And as I mentioned yesterday, I've never been treated so well in a professional setting in my life. So to be here is just my way to give back as a token of my appreciation. Now, what makes it very exciting about this place and time is that all the countries in the GCC are going, and MENA, are going through massive transformation. It's so exciting. The first time I came, it was Riyadh in May 2024, and after what I saw at events, it took me a month to process what I saw. It was just literally walking in a daze in Canada. Eyes as wide as saucers. So much beauty, so much change. But in getting to meet so many impressive leaders in the region, also saw a lot of challenges. There's a lot that comes with change and transformation. And the 4 reoccurring narratives were employee retention challenges, tech adoption. Your people aren't as excited about adopting technology as you are. They feel like it's going to replace them. And the GCC region is adopting, particularly AI, faster than any other part of the planet. Cross-functional collaboration. You know, there's an African proverb that states you can go fast alone or you can go far together. Everybody's going fast alone because everybody's going so fast, not necessarily going far together. But the last one is burnout. Burnout is a big thing here. And the numbers are staggering. 2/3. But I'm just here to tell you that you're not alone. It's a global phenomenon. There's so much disruption and noise in this world. But I'm not here to make you feel like all is not lost. We as human beings are the last remaining species of 9 that started hundreds of thousands of years ago, where the prevailing human species was the one that collaborated, and one was agile, and one was able to adapt. So we have the ability to adapt. And what we have to do is, in order for us to benefit tomorrow, we have to prepare today. And the best way to adapt is to be emotionally intelligent. You as leaders, if you're able to govern yourself, if you're able to harness your emotional intelligence, not only do you help yourselves go through really disruptive and strong times of noise, storms, trepidation, but the people around you benefit, grow, and thrive with you. Emotionally intelligent leaders and managers help themselves and others navigate through great change. 90% of those that are high performing around us are highly emotionally intelligent. But here's the thing, it's not something you're born with. As a matter of fact, 95% of us, and many of us have had bosses that saw themselves as emotionally intelligent and saw themselves as self-aware, but only 15% of us are. And here's the thing. Let me ask my brother Mohammed, what do you think the peak years are for emotional intelligence? Like, you know, as an athlete, your peak years of prowess is like 29, 30. What do you think it is for emotional intelligence? Put a number out there. We won't judge you for it. You won't get a score. No, your 60s. Yeah, so we can all get better at it. We can all get better at it. With intentionality, desire, and just putting in the work. So what I'm going to focus on today is I'm going to focus on these quadrants: social awareness, self-awareness, self-management, and relationship management. And I'm going to weave them into some proverbs. So first one, social awareness. The rain does not fall on one roof alone. Essentially, empathy. Putting yourselves in other people's shoes. And it's the driving force in every relationship. If you can see yourself in that other person's position, it gets you closer together. It drives curiosity. It drives innovation. It drives your bonds. And it's also the ability to understand what others are going through, whether it's your teammates, the people that work for you, your clients, your partners, the people that you work for. Leaders are and one is the loneliest number. And there's a lot of power in asking your boss, are they okay? When you're empathetic as a leader, everybody works harder and is more efficient around you. Burnout's decreased. People feel respected and valued when you try to put yourselves in their shoes. People feel that they can live a life of balance. People feel included. Less people leave. So some of the thoughts, just some basic thoughts in terms of trying to be more empathetic as a leader. Put others first. Always put others first. Psychological safety and safe spaces is a big thing right now when we're surrounded by so much noise, turmoil, toxicity, and just disruption and change. And as leaders, don't assume that others know how you feel. Because we have a lot of things that we're focusing on that affects our ability and our presence non-verbally that can easily be misunderstood as you not being happy with the people around you. And then the last one is one that I learned, my brother and I learned from my mother's youngest brother, my Uncle Lloyd. He was the beer-drinking chain-smoking welder of the family. Anytime we had family gatherings, and he'd have a little too much Red Stripe beer, he'd pull my 11-year-old self and my 8-year-old brother aside and sit us down the whole court and give us advice. And he'd always say in this heavy Jamaican accent, he'd go, "Sit down. Muhammad, you're gonna be me, and Yaman, you're gonna be my brother. Mark, Hugh, sit down. I want you to listen to me. You ready?" Mark, stop crying. "You have 2 ears, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, and 1 mouth. Use them proportionately. Listen more, talk less." So I have some questions for you with each of these different chapters. Are you practicing putting others first? Are you creating a safe space for sharing? Are you assuming that others know how you feel? Are you heeding the words of my Uncle Lloyd? Are you listening more and talking less? You may not have those answers now, but I ask you to marinate on them, and you'll come up with the answers. Next one, self-awareness. A tree with strong roots laughs at storms. This one means so much to me, and it should mean so much to you, with the beautiful things that are happening in this region. Self-awareness is essentially understanding yourself so that you can laugh at storms, but also understanding yourself and the effect that it has on others. Going back to lack of self-awareness in all of us, I want to tell you a story about the moment in time where I actually lacked self-awareness. And when we think about the first vignette around being empathetic, in my instance, going through my ikigai and trying to live a life of purpose, when you're really focused on making impact and a difference, you lose sight of your workloads. You lose sight of time and hour in the days. And in many cases, in the whole purpose of doing good, you actually do yourself harm. When I left the corporate world to go into entrepreneurship and do more around purpose and good, I really went at it. Like, I set up a non-for-profit for black student athletes to excel beyond academic days and find gainful careers when their playing days were over. I worked with employee resource groups at corporates with access. I was on the advisory board that helped onboard 65,000 new Canadians to the Toronto area to find gainful employment. I was on the board of one of Canada's largest municipalities for workforce development. I mentored more youth. I mentored more youth at my alma mater. I mentored more youth at another institution. I left the corporate space and went into the private healthcare space as a leader there. And I started my business at the same time, all under the guise of impact and purpose. The toxic workplace that I worked at in the healthcare space, combined with all the work I was doing around the clock trying to boil the ocean, I immediately started having anxiety attacks. Never before I had those anxiety attacks. Painful chest tightness, lack of breath, panic. I lost confidence. The workplace that I was at, it basically, the CEO, I wasn't his cup of tea. The person that hired me, he exited. I was under attack literally every day of the week. I completely lost my confidence. I was in a new space. I wasn't onboarded. And in a particular time, I was flying to Western Canada because I had an office on Vancouver Island that had gone rogue. It had gone rogue before I joined the company, and I had to go and clean it up, and it wasn't going to be pretty. I was going into a hornet's nest. I remember on the plane flying over, I immediately started thinking about it in the rabbit hole that I fell in, and I immediately started having an anxiety attack on the plane. So I dipped my head below the seats just to try and gain my composure. Somewhat panicked. It was a full flight. The gentleman beside me could notice that something was wrong. Oftentimes when I look out of the porthole of a plane, You know, when you're above the clouds and there's a sunburst of evening turning to night, it brings you solace and serenity. That helped. But I still wasn't quite there. I was really desperate. As an immigrant kid, it's like you have a sense of pride to do better because you're representing your family. I immediately said, well, what is it that I did before that made me really good in my past life? When we were working on big multi-million-dollar deals, I was always the pitch guy. I was always the lead driving the strategy. People always brought their best in the organization to me for mentorship and coaching. I always got in my annual reviews, you have a way of words of encapsulating things. You're a great storyteller. I thought about my dad. He was a powerful storyteller. He was like a human library. I thought about my mom, my aunts, my uncles. A Jamaican barbecue was full of laughter and stories, like full of tall tales. And then I went and took it a step further. I've been doing DNA tests, and my roots, although I'm of Jamaican descent, my roots trace back to Nigeria because of the transatlantic slave trade. What I learned about my roots is I'm a descendant of griots. A griot is a West African storyteller, praise singer, poet. And when I read this, it just blew my brain out because immediately they said in the quotes, when a griot dies in a village, it's the equivalent of a library burning to the ground. A griot is a human library. My father was a human library. I am prone to a lot of quotes and references. Knowing those roots, I immediately dialed down on that. We grew the book by 43% with me just coaching, getting everybody to drive into a vision, and then leaving that organization and going into business for myself and doubling down on my storytelling. Which brings me to where we are today, here, where my stories are valued and they're appreciated and they're affirmed. My question to you is, do you know your roots? Because here's the thing. 50% of who you are, you inherited. You were born with it. So do you truly know your roots? Do you know why this region is so incredible at overcoming odds? Like if you think about the Pearl crisis, if you think about what's happening now with all this transformation, do you fully understand why it is that you do what you do? Because if you were to equate yourself to a Formula One car and you're racing in the Monaco Grand Prix, and you have a 10-cylinder engine, and you're only using 5 of those, you only have knowledge of 5 of those cylinders, you're going to get lapped. So my next question to you is, of that 50% that you're born with, do you truly understand? Are you harnessing it? Are you optimizing it? Are you doubling down on that? And what are the 3 things that you know about your past, about your lineage, that you can use to overcome storms? Self-management. When there's no enemy within, the enemies outside cannot hurt you. You heard those narratives yesterday around wellness, well-being, self-care. This is it. Because in times of great change, times of great disruption, it's very difficult to be self-regulated. In the instance of my anxiety, I really had to double down and fight to try and find a way to overcome it. I got my confidence back, but I was highly inflamed. I gained a lot of weight. I couldn't sleep, just loaded with cortisol and inflammation. My background was sports. My brother and I were accomplished athletes, even at a professional level. But I also I knew I had to be more active, but I also thought about my family. And I thought about the fact that my family was starting to see me sit in darkness the day before the first day of work. In Canada, the first day of work is Monday. I would sit in the dark on Sunday. And my oldest daughter, Renee, would come home from university and see me sitting in the darkness. And she'd go to me, "Dad, what is this place doing to you?" And that's when I realized I had to fight. I had to fight. So I tapped into my past, started going back in the gym, just start hitting the weights like stole something from me. But my question to you, that was my weapon of trade to fight in the theater of war internally. What are your weapons of trade to fight the internal war? Are you relaxing? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you showing gratitude to others and yourself? Are you rooting yourself in the scriptures of the Holy Quran or the Holy Bible? Or meditation? Or deep breathing? How's your nutrition? Are you exercising? Who do you keep company with? Do you have a trusted five? This is my trusted five. Not my family, not my spouse, not my buddies. These are people that are on the same page as me or going on a similar journey. They affirm me, they love me, they encourage me, they guide me, and they kick me in the pants when I lost my way. But the one thing is, if you have or are about to put together a trusted five, don't fall in the trap of having them all look like you. Mix it up. Some of these people are huggers, some of these people are tough talkers. But the one thing they all have in common is they all want me to win. And I will be the average of those five. You are the average of the five people you spend the most time with. So, more questions. What self-care methods are you using right now to navigate during these really challenging times? Who's your trusted five? As Michelle Obama would say, who's at your kitchen table? And those trusted five, do they all look like you? Because if they all look like you, you might have a problem. Going back to the Formula One analogy, if you have a dashboard in front of you and all the meters say the same thing, speed, what about your oil pressure? What about the tachometers and revs on your engine? What about your fuel supply? If you can't see those, you're flying blind. Mix it up. Last one, relationship management. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Going back to the race car analogy, your car is only as good as your tires. That's the only thing between you and the road. If you got bad rubber, it doesn't matter how big your engine is, doesn't matter how capable your driver is, doesn't matter how great your aerodynamics are, you will fall behind. Your ability to communicate and articulate and manage relationships is a culmination of all your emotional intelligence. It's only as good as what comes out of your mouth and the way you walk the talk. And you can get better at it practicing. But here's the thing, in times of disruption, the people that you're engaging with aren't in the room with you. 70% of the people that you engage with can't work through a task in 20 minutes. This is the attention span of a goldfish. You want to know what the attention span of a human being is right now? 8.25 seconds. So here's the thing. You have to tell powerful stories. If you can't tell a powerful story, you can't engage the people around you. Highly recommend reading this book. The overriding thing is it's rooted in neuroscience. When you tell a story and you make an impact right from the jump, think about your favorite song. It's not by design that it hooks you in the first 5 seconds. Hit-making record producers know through neuroscience that a hit song is made or broken in the first 5 seconds. Because it's telling the brain, this is going to help me thrive or survive, or either it's going to put me in danger. You only have 5 to 8 seconds to make a mark. And use the amygdala in your brain for good. But here's the thing. If you're going to tell a journey of heroics and a successful outcome, whether it's yourself, your business, the case that you're building to get approval from someone else, it's a hero's journey. Very similar to a plot that you see in a Pixar movie or a Disney movie or your powerful book or the people that you look up to. But the one thing that you want to keep in mind is in that hero's journey, if you want to make an impact with a powerful story, you are not the hero. You're the guide. You're the guide that makes the hero. Think about that. That's a difference. Because when you look on social media, you don't see that. People are centering themselves in the story. You are not Luke Skywalker, you're Yoda. Here's the thing, when you tell a powerful story, the retention rate goes from 5 to 10 up to 65, 70%. When you tell a powerful story, because we've been hearing stories for hundreds of thousands of years, it's baked into our DNA. It promotes oxytocin, which is a hormone associated with trust. One thing I'm going to leave you with as well. I was at a leadership conference in British Columbia 2 years ago, and a husband and wife preceded me in the presentations. They were an indigenous couple. And the husband's name was Sean Atleo. He's hereditary chief of the Howsett First Nation in British Columbia. And they have a firm that does multi-million, multi-billion-dollar land claim negotiations with the government and with private sector. And what he said, which was rooted in his indigenous culture, is that if you're going to do any sort of transaction with anybody, there has to be a connection first. And in indigenous culture, in the Howsett culture, it's known as suwa. And what suwa means in English is connection before content. And it stems from the whale hunt. So when the Howsett First Nation is on the Pacific Ocean going through the whale hunt, they invoke suwa on the whale. And what happens is the hunt is quicker. The whale submits earlier because it understands why it's being hunted. And it's being hunted to sustain a community. So what he was saying to everybody is that you can't have connection you can't have content without connection. So that's something else to think about relationship management. So my last questions for you, are you telling powerful stories? Are you practicing to tell powerful stories? And are you establishing meaningful connection before you transact or put content in front of people? So where do we go from here? We can adapt. You can adapt. I think this is the preeminent region on the planet for adaptation. I've never seen anything like this before in my life. The way everybody's pivoting and transforming here. I leave, I come back 4 months later, and I see things in places that I didn't see the last time I was here. It's just mind-blowing what's happening in this region. It's magical, it's mystical. But because you're going so fast, you're going to have to be more emotionally intelligent to keep up, and also to take care of yourselves. In times of technology and transformation with that, we actually have to be more human. Because that's what's going to get everybody to get on board, to adapt and transform, and also to protect your own well-being. And the other thing, too, is that this is not a job for most of you. What I see here is I see a whole galvanized population of people in the region that know that the work they're going to do now is going to benefit generations to come. This is a very young region. Over 50% of your population is under the age of 25. So when I see this proverb, I think of all of you. And it makes me so proud to be a part of that. So I just want to thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Hugh,
Yes, sir.
thank you for speaking from the heart.
No problem,
I
my
don't feel
pleasure.
it was like a keynote presentation, it was like a consultation and a therapy session.
Oh, yeah?
So,
Okay.
thank
Where's
you
the
for
couch?
that. Thank you for speaking to our souls. And at the same time, I really appreciate a speaker, just like I said yesterday, who speaks from the heart, and you've done that beautifully. Now, we would like to welcome our Chief of Happiness again, Mr. Abdulaziz Baidoun, back on stage.
Thank you, everyone.
For more lucky draws.
Well, let me take this off.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson, for this wonderful event. I personally learned a lot from you on stage and off stage during these 2-3 days. And I might not have a better opportunity to express how happy I am to meet you. And I really wish to see you more often in Kuwait. And speaking of happiness, and so we will continue our giveaways. Congratulations to everyone who won yesterday, and let's see who will win today with us, presented by North Star, vouchers to sharpen your skills. And the first number is
70.
70.
Please raise your hand.
Congratulations, Federico. And we got one more.
You know?
Yes. 177. Please raise your hand. 177. I can't see anyone.
We can just hear claps, but we cannot
Yes.
see hands.
All right, one more.
Okay.
15. 1-5. Over there. Congratulations.